Hey folks, welcome back to Kraken Packs here at the studio, and today I figured we'd do a little discussion video about how TCGs and trading cards are becoming more and more mainstream every single month, it seems. I know we're in a unique place coming out of 2020 and 2021 where a lot of the market has kind of softened, but we're proving as time goes on that collectibles, trading cards, and such are now more and more mainstream. It's not like 2016 where people were slinging Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff and people asked you what you did. You're like, oh, I do some online business. Now it's like, yeah, I sell collectibles, what up? And this is just one article that I wanted to talk about today. I got it in an email from TCG Player where they're discussing how Silicon Valley's Andreessen Horowitz venture capital is saying that TCG Player is the 12th fastest growing market in technology platforms, which is big. So for those that don't know, this right here, this venture company, they've invested in Twitter when Twitter was a startup, Airbnb, bunch of other big name companies. And so for them to say this is actually a pretty big deal, and I'm assuming that they are also invested in TCG Player at this point then, which for them to park money in TCG Player is obviously a reflection of the hobby as a whole. I think as we move forward, collectibles are just becoming more of a mainstay of just what people do and decide to park their money in. So TCG Player was named one of the largest and fastest growing marketplaces by Silicon Valley's Andreessen Horowitz, and it debuts at number 12 on the Marketplace 100 list. So that's like the list of all the current companies that are just like booming technological marketplaces. Obviously, you know, again, Airbnb, Foursquare, whatever, stuff like that. TCG Player, the leading technological platform for the collectibles industry and operator of the largest online marketplace for trading card games. There's a reason why eBay has been really adapting to the marketplace of trading cards and making that one of their mainstays advertisement wise, and what they're spending their research and development money on, doing things like card scanning, all that stuff that we've seen on eBay. They're trying to catch up. They realize that they have lost a huge margin of the people that were previous eBay sellers moving into different marketplaces, me included. So here we go. TCG Player has been named one of the largest and fastest growing marketplaces by venture capital, debuting for the first time on this Marketplace 100 list. TCG Player received an overall ranking of number 12 by the Silicon Valley venture capital firm, commenting on the trends observed during this year's breakout year for the collectibles industry. Which I guess so. Yeah, we're kind of in the thick of it. We've seen a lot of people leave the hobby, right? Because obviously Money Machine went burr, and a lot of people bought collectibles and things, and we're flipping Pokemon like pancakes and tagging people at Target. We've seen the fallout of that. But overall, it's exposed a huge amount of the population to collectibles being something that they enjoy. Also, of course, people investing in it and all that other good stuff. But people are realizing that trading cards are a viable means to make some income. And so that's being reflected here. So commenting on the trends observed during this breakout year for the collectibles industry, A16Z noted record high sales for tabletop games, in addition to the category's sustained growth beyond pandemic-related tailwinds. So they're kind of talking about that, you know, brush back from the pandemic. I'm thrilled that TCG Player has been recognized as A16 as one of the largest and fastest growing marketplaces in the world, solidifying our reputation as the leading technological platform for the collectibles industry, said the CEO of TCG Player, who is the founder. The original TCG Player guys still in the lead. Companies featured on the Marketplace 100 are ranked by marketplace activity using a mix of data from Bloomberg, secondary measures, similar app, all these data scraping things, right? Just to see what's performing best on the internet. Measure gross merchandise value, website traffic, and app performance. So that's how well TCG Player is doing. I mean, like, that's crazy, right? That this showed up on the radar with things like Airbnb. Everybody knows what an Airbnb is. So for TCG Player to be 12th, that's pretty crazy. Hampton continued, we are honored to be recognized for the explosive growth we experienced last year, and looking ahead, we are hyper-focused on the expansion of our products and services beyond TCGs. So for example, they're bringing in sports cards. I don't know if people knew that, but they're doing a whole overhaul where TCG Player is also gonna be doing sports cards, which is, I mean, arguably the most mainstream form of playing cards, right? Collectible cards, that and obviously Pokemon. But they're talking about technologies like, there's literally, look this up if you don't know what this is, the Roka sorting bot. It's a giant machine that sorts trading cards. Like, that's one of the biggest problems we deal with, people that have massive collections or inventory or whatever you want to call it. It's just like sorting things out. If you get like a bin of like 5,000 count boxes, it's insane, right? Like, having a robot do that for you is ridiculous, right? But anyways, there's a ton of different TCG Player technologies that they either have now and you can get, or that you can look into. So they're confident that TCG Player will build on this momentum and successfully bring our innovative tools and customer-focused approach to the fastest growing sports card market later this summer. See, he's even talking about sports cards like ahead of everything, right? He's not like, our Vanguard cards. He's like, yeah, sports cards, right? He's dropping the the buzzwords here. Growing the community, helping even more retailers thrive, and ensuring hobbyists get the products and services they deserve. Thank you, TCG Player, for all you do, whatever. Okay, so now we're talking about the rapid growth. Again, you know, I've been an eBay seller since 2012, and even then people had problems with it. Fees were much higher than they were in the early 2000s. And so a lot of people were looking for alternatives, and TCG Player is by far way faster to list on. It's just a giant marketplace, and there's just a different structure there than eBay has, I feel. And it makes more sense for people that are selling, you know, massive amounts of cards, you know, bulk cards. I always talk about like a ridiculous backlog of inventory that needs to be worked through. But, you know, not everything for just hobbyists, but also into brick and mortar stores, which is, I guess, our bread and butter here of people selling. The ranking comes at a time of fast-paced growth for TCG Player, as the company is poised to entertain the sports card market in the summer of 2022. Fueled by strategic investments in its team, technology, and products, and a growing demand in a strong hobby collective industry, TCG Player has sustained a period of rapid growth for the past 5 years. So they're looking at that trend, they're going, what the hell is this Pokemon site? Why is it performing so incredibly well? As previously announced, the company secured $35 million in strategic financing from Vista Credit Partners, talking about just like who else had previously, you know, invested in them. They used this financing to accelerate its expansion, which we've seen, again, buying Roka, Quick List, TCG Player Direct. They have even a sorting thing where you can just send the cards over and they'll sort all the cards for you and list them. TCG Player Direct is a service, for those that don't know, where instead of you shipping out, so you get 100 orders, right? You know, that might be a lot for some people, might be nothing for others. You get 100 orders, you're shipping out 78 cents, 78 cents, 78 cents postage on all that. With TCG Player Direct, they fulfill the orders for you, and then like once a week, you get something where you just mail all the cards to replenish their inventory, and you only pay shipping once. So like spending $10 on shipping or $5 on shipping the TCG Player versus spending 78 cents for all 100 cards. I mean, you might have some direct orders like 3,000 or 4,000 cards that I've gotten, and I'm not a big league at all, right? The shipping on that would be ridiculous. It saves hundreds of dollars to do TCG Player Direct. That was just another example where they've kind of gone into stuff here. Then they're going beyond the core trading card game business and sports cards and new hobby collectibles like comic books over the coming months. That's even new to me. I didn't know that they were going to move into comic books. They do tabletop stuff. I knew they do some D&D and things like that. Today, TCG Player employs more than 650 people, representing an overall headcount increase of 100% over the course of 2021. 650 people. I feel like that's more than like some game studios. In 2021 alone, the company expanded its authentication center to approximately 100,000 square feet, huge, and grew its team of authentication experts by almost 150% on an annual basis, and deepened its bench of executive talent, including bringing over its first ever chief supply chain. See, they're expanding. They got market officers, all these different people. I mean, even when I did direct, I called, you know, to inquire about the Roka and different things like that. Like, you're talking to people on the phone. Like, this is a massive organization at this point. It's kind of crazy. Over the same time frame, TCG Player sales grew an 80%. Imagine your business doing 80% better and serving tens of millions of hobbyist buyers and tens of thousands of brick and mortar retailers. Again, they do a lot of stuff for brick and mortar that I don't capitalize on, but like they have kiosks where I might have, say, Kraken brick and mortar store up the street, right? Come on in, like check out the kiosk. I have 100 million cards in the back. What do you want? And then they can just do like a live pull sheet, right? And you can just give the person at the counter the order and they can go in. Again, another example of things they've gone into in the last like 5-6 years here. They've based out of New York, blah, 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 blah. If you want to see press, here we go. Again, more about TCG Player. This is really big news, I think, for the hobby in general. TCG Player is obviously tooting their horns super hard, which is cool. I'm a fan of TCG Player. The support has been really great. I love it way more than eBay. If you go check my eBay store, I have a couple like high-end items that I list for like ridiculous prices just because it gets people to contact me. And I've actually met a lot of people in the community just like, yo, you're the guy with the retro pack 2 box. Why is it at 30 grand? I'm like, I don't know. I just put it up and now you're talking to me. So what's up? And then end up forming friendship or whatever. I don't really use eBay for much of anything. I mean, I don't like the fee structure. A lot of times there's just such a space for people to take advantage of you on eBay. Oh, I didn't mean to buy this $3,000 box. Or someone I was just talking to, one of the other Yugioh homies, like somebody bought something from him and then it was like, oh, sorry, I need to return this because I don't have enough money to get a PS5. What do you mean? Like, anytime anything like that has happened with TCG Player, they're just like, nah, that's silly. I mean, there's been so many things. People putting their addresses wrong, like on eBay. Oh, you look and like the customer put the wrong address and they're like, well, I'm not paying for it. It's the wrong address. Like, you put that there. TCG Player issued the refund to the customer and then credited me the difference. They were like, we know that's not your fault. You were doing what you're supposed to do. Here you go. So it's nice to see this uprising of obviously the buyer at the end of the day, right? Your customer is your bread and butter. You got to cater to them. You got to make sure it's good. But in an eBay, there's just a point where it was just like, oh my God, man, it's like, you can't do any right. You're just going to get hosed. But now we teeter this a little bit more, and it's nice to feel like sellers matter. And I do feel that way about selling on TCG Player. At any point in time, I can reach out and they'll help me with things. Again, to get back to this, out of all the marketplaces, I'm glad TCG Player is the one that's growing the most. They have all these different platforms, TCG Player Direct and everything. Of course, I have videos that are either in the works or they'll be out now. If you're interested in learning more about TCG Player Direct, all that stuff, I'm not sponsored. I don't have any kickbacks or whatever. But me personally as a seller and a hobbyist and an enthusiast, this is great. Obviously, I want to see the hobby and collectible market, and I mean, really just, you know, in general, the hobby to continue to grow and prove that it is a real thing and that it is viable as a stream of income. It is viable as a career. It is viable as a hobby. It's not some niche. It's not something you need to be embarrassed of and that you only do at 3 a.m., you know, quietly breaking boxes because you don't want to wake your girlfriend or boyfriend or parents or whoever, that they'll know you're some nerd. But overall, you know, this is great. It shows that, yes, the market did soften on a lot of these products, but overall, we're continuing that growth. I want to do, you know, this for the rest of my life, and I want to make sure that I can do collectibles for the rest of my life. And obviously, at some point, there has to be some means of income to do that. Here's TCG Player. Thank you for continuing to prove that eBay sucks. Another one would be Whatnot, which I'm a seller for. That I can shamelessly plug. Link below. Get $10 free for signing up. But they're another one that they're saying eBay's platform just isn't cutting it anymore, and there's such a wide base for this. We need to make some exceptions. More rapid growth. If you guys are curious about anything about TCG Player, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'll address any things that you're curious about with TCG Player. Anything that you're curious about TCG Player, I can answer in the comments. You know, what I've learned over the last 10 years of doing this and how I've kind of adjusted to make this a source of income. What do you guys think? Is this terrible? Do you not want to see TCG Player take the reins? Have you had bad experiences with them? Is there a platform that you enjoy more? At the end of the day, let me know what you think. I'd love to help with everything. And if you want to see some cool box openings or me talk about other things that are going on in the TCG Player market, should be videos around here. I'll see you next time. Take care.